All right, Shalom. I want to start by saying, HALAL, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles of Israel, aka the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and love to all the Akim. Continue to preach the truth, in all truth and sincerity. Okay, so I came across a piece of info today, and I'm going to go right into it because, what's happening right now, as far as this going on with these nurses I'm about to read about, what's going on in Iran, hell, what's going on in other parts of America, other parts of the earth, is clearly showing that prophecy is coming to pass. Now, prophecy of what? Prophecy of what? The scriptures, the God of Jacob. All right. So I came across this, and this started today, and I got this. This is from USA Today. And an article reads, it says nearly 15,000 nurses go on strike at several NYC hospitals. Now, in another article, it said it was top NYC hospitals. So that go to show where we're at. So that go to show that there's more unhappiness going on throughout the earth and throughout Babylon the Great, especially, which is known as America. So so it says nearly 15,000 nurses from prominent New York City hospitals are striking as they say hospital management threatens drastic cuts to healthcare benefits. Okay, so that's what it's about. Healthcare benefits, which goes into what? So we could also go into uproars of the people, but it also goes into what? Grind and ceasing. Because if health benefits are cut, other things are cut, well, they'll be inclined for them to not work there. All right? It said the New York State Nurses Association said it launched a strike alleging management at hospitals at Mount Sinai Hospital, Mount Sinai Morningside, and West Montefiore and New York Presbyterian refused to ensure safety for nurses and patients. Now, what's that about? Here it is. These people are dealing with sick people, dealing with possibly violent sick people, mentally ill people, and you're saying you're going to cut their health benefits for these same people that are helping you deal with these people, deal with these citizens, help deal with these other sick or mentally ill citizens? All right, and it says the strike began 6 a.m. Eastern time on January 12th. So that means 6 a.m. this morning, because I'm in the East, New Jersey, New York, right there. So they started at 6. So that means it's been going on for a little over 12 hours. It says after months of bargaining, because when people go on strike, that means that before they go on strike, that means that it's been threats of the strike, and there's been things happening to where it led to this strike. People don't just go on strike. It's an escalating thing to where then the last resort is to go on strike, and that goes to show how much important they're basically saying how important they are, which they are. All right. It says, after months of bargaining, managing refused to make meaningful progress on core issues that nurses have been fighting for: safe staffing for patients, healthcare benefits for nurses, and workplace violence protections, forcing nearly 15,000 nurses out on the largest nurse strike in New York City history, a news release announcing the strike states. Now, I looked up on ChatGPT, I looked up the actual number of nurses in NYC, and it said it was 332,900. Now the nurses that's on strike, that's between 4 and 5% of the nurses in NYC on strike right now. That's a nice little percentage, on top of a percentage that could grow if other nurses come out with their unhappiness, It says the nurses said they've been fighting for safe staffing for patients, healthcare benefits for nurses, and workplace violence protection for months, but have not made progress. Earlier this month, a fatal shooting occurred inside New York Presbyterian Brooklyn Methodist Hospital, and an active shooter incident took place at Mount Sinai Medical Center in November, which is a couple months ago. Though the striking nurses are predominantly from city hospitals, the association says the lack of a deal with management will impact nearly 27,000 nurses at over 50 hospitals in the state enrolled in the association's health benefit plan. See, that's more nurses. It said hospital management has responded to requests with retaliation, intimidation, and stalling while flaunting more than $100 million that's been spent on temporary replacement nurses, the association said in a written statement. So they're not even giving a fuck about, and that goes into what? Unrighteous dictator. Hold on, let's get that real quick. That was that Isaiah chapter 10. That's the spirit. I wasn't even planning on getting this. Isaiah chapter 10. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 10 verse 1, and it reads, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. And we read that in NLT, it says, what sorrow awaits the unjust judges and those who issue unfair laws. Now that would be the Nurses Association, whatever the fuck it's called. Here it is. These nurses are voicing their unhappiness, and it's credible unhappiness. And they basically saying, hey, you know what, fuck out of here. We're gonna spend this money to hire temporary nurses. That and this is gonna cause sedition among men, because I'm pretty I mean, there's male nurses too. But when it talks about sedition among men, it means just the people. Because you're gonna have like nurses, a lot of nurses are females, but you have a lot of male nurses, you have a lot of male staff in the hospitals. So, and what's going to happen once this escalates, once this spreads? Because what's happening right now, what the Lord is doing, the Lord has civil unrest making its appearance in America, in Babylon the Great, which is prophecy. And it says, and remember, this is talking about Israelites, but you know, when we talk about back in the ancient world, you know, have Israel, it pertains to Israel, but now you can pertain it to Esau. So it says to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey. Now how? Now, I don't know how many Jake nurses there are in New York City, but think about the patients. The patients are affected as well from these nurses going on strike. Now, you have Jake patients or whatever patients in these hospitals. You got 15,000 nurses going on strike. That was this 6 in the morning this morning on January 12th. Today is the 12th. And they said that this took place 6 a.m. on the 12th of January, which is today, this morning. All right? So look, it says, what have the hospitals said? It says in a statement, Mount Sinai said, unfortunately, it's funny, at Mount Sinai, that's where the Lord met up with the Israelites, the descendants of Jacob, in Exodus, the 19th chapter, in the time of Moses. But anyway, it says in a statement, Mount Sinai said, unfortunately, NYSNA decided to move forward with its strike at the Mount Sinai Hospital, Mount Sinai Morningside, and Mount Sinai West, while refusing to move on from its extreme economic demands, which we cannot agree to. We are ready with 1,400 qualified and specialized nurses and preparing to continue to provide safe patient care for as long as the strike lasts. So they're basically saying, like, fuck your demands. That's what they're saying. That's what the head of these hospitals or whatever are saying. Now, you know who probably is the head of these hospitals? Amalek. Amalek. It's always fucking Amalek, man. That's why in the name of Yahweh, in the names of Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, curse be to you, Amalek, curse be to you, Amalek, and curse be to you, Amalek. You gonna meet your fucking day, man. And it says the healthcare system asserts its patients are its top priority and will continue delivering excellent care despite the protests. Meanwhile, New York Presbyterian said the strike is designed to create disruption. We're ready to keep negotiating a fair and reasonable contract and that reflects our respect for our nurses and the critical role they play, and also recognize the challenging realities of today's healthcare environment. The hospital said it has proposed significant wage increases that will keep nurses among the highest paid in the city, in addition to enhancements to their employer-funded benefits and new measures that reflect the commitment to safe staffing and workplace safety. Speaking at a news conference on January 12th, New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani said, "At every one of our city's darkest periods, nurses showed up to work. Their value is not negotiable, and their worth is not up for debate. We know that during 911, it was nurses that tended to the wounded. We know that during the global epidemic, it was nurses that came into work even at the expense of their own health. They showed up even when we didn't have protective equipment for them. They showed up even as others were staying home. Bottom line, they showed up," he added. Tanya Fisher Morales, an emergency department holding nurse at New York Presbyterian Hospital, said she and other nurses at her hospital have experienced workplace violence. "I've been grabbed and scratched by patients," she said, adding that just 1 week, one of her coworkers was punched in the chest and is out on medical leave. A week before that incident, a nurse was punched in the eye, she continued. "Every week, nurses are injured in incidents of workplace violence at our hospital," she said, noting there are not enough nurses to take care of patients flooding the hospital's emergency department. See that? You see that? This is what's going. This is today. This is straight going on today. So that means, and one of these incidents, they said it took place in November, which is a couple months ago. Because we still in January. So January, and then December was the month prior, and then November was the month prior to that. Now that you have that, let's go into second address. Because this is not just with hospitals, nurses. This is going to go on throughout all sectors of work, because you also have this whole AI takeover, which is causing people to lose their jobs. Layoffs. They said layoffs are going to be pouring in this year. So, this is the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 9, verse 1, and it reads, "He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he had made." Now, this has been started. The prophecies have always been unfolding, but now we're getting closer to the actual end, to where the things happening now are leaning closer towards Jacob's trouble, the MOTB, the Third World War III, and ultimately what? YAHAWASHI's return. It's all getting closer to that. You got the whole thing happening with the America and the Greenland, causing the beast to hate the whore. Revelation the 17th chapter. Satan's house divided. It's so many things happening as of right now. It's hard to keep up. But that go to show how we should be on fire for this thing, man. How we should desire to prophesy for Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, because look at the prophecies haven't come to pass. Because now we're getting to the point now to eventually we're not gonna need to prophesy. So we got to get all these works in now while we still can, and while we still have the internet up and running. Who knows when these devils are gonna take the internet off or make it harder to access? You already got these devils talking about the street preaching and preaching the Bible on the streets. You already had these devils talking about that. So it's not like, you remember, we're at the end. So like everything that Yahushua spoke of, everything that the Holy Spirit had the prophet speak of, according to pertaining to the last days, it's all coming to pass now. So you're going to have the uproars. You're going to have the earthquakes. You're going to have the sedition among men. You're going to have the wars and rumors of wars. You're going to have all of that. As I speak right now into this camera, you have prophecy unfolding every day, every moment, every minute, every hour, every second, all the time. It says, 2nd Esdras chapter 9, verse 3, and it reads, "Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes," we had earthquakes, they just talk about, and I never heard of that before, but they said this thing called a glacier earthquake. I forget, I think it was in Antarctica, where you have a glacier earthquake to where like something happens with the ice caps breaking off and going into the sea or some shit to that effect, causing a glacier earthquake. You have earthquakes, you have regular earthquakes happening throughout the earth. So what now? What people got to say now? Are people going to say, oh, we're still conspiracy theorists? But you take a look around you, what's happening. What else explains it except the scriptures? What else explains this except the scriptures? The Quran ain't explaining it. Whatever the fuck Buddha book is ain't explaining it. Fucking the Indians, Hindu, they're not explaining it, man. You got all these nations, these heathens, they talk about they want peace. They talk about they want all this to stop. They want things to get better in this world. Which goes to show that their gods are not true gods. Because why? The one true living God said he about to destroy this world. BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, the one true living God, said he about to destroy America because America is Babylon the Great according to the scriptures. Matter of fact, now I want to go into that word uproar. Go into etymology. Go into etymology. So you go to the word uproar. It's from the 1520s, and it reads, it says, outbreak of great disorder, revolt. Isn't that a strike? Isn't that what their strike is? A revolt? They're revolting against their hospitals that they work at, or the heads or the managers of those hospitals, what the nurses are doing. Violent commotion, which I'm pretty sure they're not getting violent. It says tumult, riots, literally a stirring up. Where you got a stirring motion. It says to move, to stir, shake, noisy shouting, noisy shouting. Now I'm pretty sure when people go on strike, not talking about these exact nurses, but when people go on strike, usually they're yelling, not or they're speaking loudly, because you got the one that got the blowhorn. They're making more noise than usual. So that's what the Lord said you're going to be seeing in the last days. And that's what the Lord said, what? Measure thou the time diligently. When you see these things, the Lord said, when you see these things, know that the day is nigh. Know that the time is nigh. The day of the Lord is nigh. It is nigh. Though it tarry, wait for it. It shall not tarry. It shall surely come. And the Lord said, what? The end shall speak. And the end is speaking loudly every day. Hell, the end prophecies are making uproars, man. That's what I said, every day, every minute, every hour, every second, man. Even as we speak, the time, the days being short and time flying. And there's nothing nobody could do about it. You people want it to stop, but it ain't gonna stop. Remember, this is the will of Yahweh, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, and nobody could withstand that. Nobody could stop that. I don't give a fuck what Donald Trump say. I don't give a fuck what none of these the government officials say. I don't give a fuck what none of these other Russian motherfucker, Chinese, whatever. No, y'all can't stop it. Y'all all gonna go to war. Thus saith Yahweh BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. He said, what is for my determination to gather the nations? And they gonna get burned with the fire of his jealousy, man. Point blank, period, man. This is all prophecy, man. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. So that's the definition of uproar. So hold up, let me see. Hold on, see something. That's pretty much it. So yeah, let me go back to oops. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 9, verse 4, and it says, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High, Yahweh BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Because what did the Lord say? He declared the end from the beginning. So from the very beginning, before anything was formed, before the wind blew, before a voice spoke, before any of those things, any of the things we see right now, we know as existence of life, before any of that, the Lord had this already ordained. Man, this is crazy. That's crazy, man. And now it's just what? It's manifesting, which is going to say here. So it says, 2nd Esdras chapter 9, verse 5, and it says, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end. Because what? America had a beginning. Esau's kingdom had a beginning. All these nations' kingdoms had a beginning. Hell, even for the time of our people ruling, had a beginning and it had an end. But this world to come, Jacob's kingdom, under Yahawashi, this is going to be the world without end. everlasting kingdom. That's what people didn't. That's what people forgot. And this kingdom is not going to be for everyone. It's going to be for one nation, starting with the elect of the nation of Israel. But it's going to ultimately be for the nation of Israel, the descendants of Jacob. Men, women, and children are the descendants of Jacob. Period. That's what's going to rule in the world to come. All you other nations, with Esau, you ruled over the Israelites. Now it's going to be time for the Israelites to rule over you forever. Because that's the blessing. That was the promise. For Esau at the end of the world, Jacob's the beginning of it that followed. Then that's the world without end. All right. So it says, 2nd Esdras chapter 9, verse 5, and it says, for like all that is made in the world has a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Period. And the end is manifest. And you can't unmanifest it. You can't go back in time. Everything happening is happening at its set time that Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI had set for it to happen. Or most importantly, Yahawah, the Heavenly Father, set to happen. So as we go on, it's just all going according to Yahawah, the Heavenly Father's plan. So whatever they do with this Greenland, whatever happens with Iran and Israel, whatever happens with China and Taiwan, it's all the will of Yahawah BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, because what? He said it's his determination to gather the nations. And we still have to have the MOTP come to fruition more. So they're going to keep preparing for war. They're going to keep these threats. They're going to keep these rumors of wars going. They're going to keep preparing nuclear missiles. They're going to keep preparing nuclear submarines, aircraft carriers. They're going to keep beating their plowshares in the sword. Because ultimately, when the time is set, the Lord is going to have them unleash all of these weapons of his indignation, which he had them make. And then he's going to destroy them. And then he's going to put these nations in captivity. And that's real. That's the gospel, man. That's what you won't hear that in the churches. You're not gonna hear that who the world called Jesus Christ to enslave people. You don't hear that. That the day of the Lord, many more shall perish and be saved. You're not gonna hear the pastors in these churches talk about the Lord being angry, the Lord being jealous. They're gonna make it say the Lord is just one way. Oh, but he's merciful, and he's not even merciful to everyone. But yeah, man, that's it. This whole chapter bring up, but I don't want to make it too long. But I just want to bring up about the uproar, because that's what you have happening with these nurses, man. Here it is. You got nurses, what they call it, essential people. Essential workers. Remember during the whole emic, the essential workers, they're part of that category of people. So that means that they're needed. And you have these people, these heads in these hospitals talking about, yeah, we don't worry about it. We got something to handle while they want to strike, man. So basically saying that they don't give a fuck about their demands, man. And I say, no, that's a pure devil, man. That's pure evil. And the Lord gonna have you pay for that. Because you know Amalek runs all these hospitals, man. All right. But yeah, man, so that's it. That's all I wanted to bring out. So, with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. I'm going to give all praises to Yahawah, BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM KAKADASH. Double honors to the Apostles of Israel, aka the Apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and love to all the Akim. Continue to preach the truth and all true sincerity. Shalom.